We humans, we just want to complicate things, or we just want to believe that there's a silver bullet for everything. And that's the case with FAQs. In today's video, we're going to talk about FAQs, how to write an FAQ that sells. So FAQs are something that is, I think, underrated as far as an opportunity within your sales funnel and in general on your website when a potential client or buyer is evaluating what it is you are offering. And they are overlooked because they're so obvious. And in some cases, a lot of websites don't even have that. But the truth is that a lot of people want to get answers before they'll book a call. They want to have their concerns allayed. They want to know if you have a certain feature or if this is designed, the SaaS tool for XYZ specific benefit that they're looking for. They want that information confirmed before they feel comfortable actually taking out their credit card and making a buying decision. So in the rest of today's video, I want to give you killer tips. And I'm going to go in depth briefly with each of these tips for how to write an effective FAQ that actually is going to get you sales. So the first tip to writing an FAQ that sells and otherwise just grows your business is if you're not sure where to start, try some generic questions, okay? And what is it that prospects ask in the live chat widget if you're selling a SaaS business, if you're selling a SaaS product or you're in e-commerce and you're chatting and emailing with customers? If you're selling services, what are the questions that people are asking on the call? You could take those questions that normally you'd be answering on the call, and you can be moving the prospect further down the funnel by the time that they get on the call with you so that you're able to actually have shorter, more productive calls where you're able to dig in and have more time, if needed, to dig into perhaps some of the deeper, bigger questions of what is the problem that the prospect is looking to solve as a potential client? Why do they want this problem solved? What is it about the solution that is appealing to them or that's holding them back? So a lot of those questions that oftentimes are just repetitive, that's just an opportunity for you to put that somewhere earlier in your funnel, like on your pricing page, and you can just advance the conversation, and your funnel that way is better working to qualify each potential client prospect before you get on the phone with them. This is how you get your website via your FAQs to work harder and you can work less on sales calls. Tip number 2 is talk to customers as often as possible. The more practice that you have just interacting with customers, the easier it is going to be for you to pick up on patterns in terms of what are they thinking, what are they feeling, how do they ask questions, what is the best way to answer the question so as to obviously transparently educate them on what it is you're offering and the benefits so they can make a fair buying decision. You do not want customers and clients who have buyer's remorse because you maybe withheld something or you misframed something. Don't go down that path. But again, when you're talking with customers, you're going to pick up on these patterns, and that's going to help you to not only write better FAQs, but better copy in general in your funnel. Tip number 3 is include a call to action on your FAQs page, or if it's on the same page as your pricing, the call to action can come after. This is where, from our 11 laws of sales funnel physics framework, the law of repetition is effective, because we saw about a 13% increase in conversions in terms of people on our pricing page who would go from pricing to checkout if we had not just one pricing table at the top of the page, but also a pricing table at the bottom of the page. You don't have to follow that exact tactical implementation, but certainly including another call to action button after your FAQs, like at the bottom of the page, that takes them maybe back up to the pricing section or takes them to book a call. That certainly is going to get you more results. And other than repetition being a factor, it's also just the law of visibility. You don't want to look like you're selling too hard because it really can distract the buyer and take them out of the flow when they're just trying to get information first before they get to booking a call or actually checking out. You can include sort of a soft call to action, like a link within your FAQs. And it's all about style. It's about how you do it. So kind of a cool, no pressure way to do it would to have the link be relatively small, like 1 or 2, maximum 3 words. tactically, I recommend having that open the other page in a new window. That way, your pricing page, which is further down in your funnel that they just came from, is still open and they can come back to it later. They don't have to click back to it. It's still open, just in another tab. And speaking of keeping a call to action that is highly visible, you might want to check out the article, which is from the American Cancer Society website, and their call to action, which remained visible as people scrolled down the frequently asked questions page, was the donate button. It remained highly visible as a result of a fixed navigation at the top of the page. Tip number 4 is nest valuable social proof next to or within your FAQs. So wouldn't it be amazing if not only could you answer the questions in a way that educates and informs potential buyers of the benefits and sets their expectations so that they have the opposite of buyer's remorse, so that after they buy, they're like, wow, I know exactly what I'm buying. I know how and where to go and what to do to get said value, whether it's a SaaS tool, e-commerce, info product or service. Wouldn't it be great to do that? But then one step further, what if the answer to an FAQ could come in the form, or at a minimum be supported by, a video from your existing customers or clients? Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, if you are able to do it, you can nest social proof within your FAQs. This is something that we do consistently at AutoGrow. For example, in the previous video, I was talking about how we've created hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lead magnets for our clients, which just goes to show that we worked with a lot of clients and obviously a legit company and we do good work. You have a mention like that within the FAQs, so long as it's answering the question that they are reading to get an answer to. So you can do this all the way from just simple like vanity, stats, years in business, how many clients served, to implied social proof, all the way to having potentially clients. If you have this tight relationship with your customers or clients, you can even just interview them, and put their answers there, either in the form of a quote, which is pretty good, and or video. Get creative with it. Tip number 5, FAQs are boring. Make questions and answers personal, conversational, and memorable. So usually when I write copy, especially FAQs, I write the questions in a conversational way, where I might include certain words that you wanted to be a stickler editor about it, you might not include. So I might include words like so or well, or kind of like writing it in the tone of maybe someone who's a little skeptical, but also curious. And as they go through that cycle, they get answers to their questions. Maybe the tone would shift a little bit, but I try to make it like an actual conversation, and I write similar to how I speak. What I can tell you is that in all my experience, it works, because what is more unique than to actually project a little bit, at least, of your personality? I mean, I guess not everyone has a dazzling personality, and I'm not saying I do, but if you are an effective communicator, you know that you need to engage your audience and you want to hold their attention. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to be a little human. Tip number 6, place the FAQ on your pricing page immediately prior to sign up. So this is the place where you will see the FAQ for most productized service businesses and SaaS companies. And for e-commerce, it varies a bit more. For services companies, they might kind of bake in an FAQ into their homepage. I think most services, in my opinion, should aspire to be productized service companies, because I think it's just an advantage all around. Read more about productized services if you're interested by searching on our blog, and it's something that we will talk more about coming up in future videos. So if you're liking this video and getting value from it, probably are if you're watching this far. So go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube as well. The benefit to placing the FAQ and the logic behind it on your pricing page is that the pricing page is where people are seeing the price tag. This is where they're going to feel a little bit of resistance and they're going to come up with objections, just because in terms of seeing the number, it's like, okay, I have to put out some monetary energy, some hard-earned money of mine or my company's. What if it doesn't work? There is some potential downside here. Like, let me think of potential objections, and they do. And so thus, at that point is the perfect step in your funnel and on your website to place your FAQ. Tip number 7, include visual cues to support the text. So there's a great example from World First UK. They organize their FAQ section by various topics. They also let you browse each section with highly clickable buttons with their own unique design. And you can see in the screenshot that that they have the FAQs broken down in a visual way. And there's a little bit of friction going on here. So this is not necessarily recommended if you really want to know if this is the best, because some of the FAQs are hidden. I found that with us, we got the best results, not using some sort of an accordion format where people would have to like click to expand, but just having the FAQs on the page, zero effort, no need to click on anything to see the answers. But in this example from World First, what makes it unique is that they include an image along with the text that describes, the different sections of their FAQs, from getting started, payments and transfers, business clients, and online sellers. And here's the technique, the tactical psychology behind it. It's been proven that images with written text are easier for the brain to encode into memory. And this is part of what's known as the picture superiority effect. This is because our brain can draw relationships between words and images more efficiently. Tip number 8 is get creative or copy someone who is. So if you go look at the website from 4040 Creative, their homepage is absolutely just stunning, like a great example of just creativity in action in general. But their FAQs, I think, helps to highlight a bit of what I was talking about as far as being unique in terms of wording and word choice and style. They have an FAQs page. It was labeled clearly FAQs, but then beneath it, it says stuff people ask us. A bit of personality, a little bit different, a bit fun, and listen to how this is worded. So I don't get what you specialize in. And then the third question is, so what does 4040 even mean? And the final question, can I see more specific work? OMG, show us your mainstream stuff. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So you get the idea. Tip number 9, make it easy for visitors to find information via a drop-down list and or bullet points. So long story short here is no one wants to read a wall of text, and we've seen varying results and varying case studies in terms of data are out there where long landing pages convert better. And then on the other hand, I've also seen shorter landing pages convert. For instance, on our homepage, we did an A/B test where we eliminated about 40% of all the text, and we saw a higher conversion rate as a result, because it could be that with less information, people wanted to book a call more because they were more intrigued, and they were clicking through to the pricing page more because they wanted more information, which was not on the homepage. So there's mixed data and mixed case studies. There's no one size fits all. The main point with this tip is just visually format your FAQ so that it's easy to read and people are not reading a giant wall of text. And here is the final tip. Tip number 10, identify questions customers don't realize they're not asking. So we got the double negative there. And we have this quote from this copywriter to explain this. The copywriter's name is Nicholas Cole, and I'm going to give you my slightly counterintuitive reaction to this. So he is a founder of a positioning agency called Digital Press, and Nicholas said this, quote, "The best piece of advice I can share in terms of copywriting related to FAQ pages is to think about what sorts of questions your prospective customers don't know they should be asking. Most people looking to purchase a product or service bring the same sorts of questions to the table, and you should absolutely have those answered. But what are the questions they don't know they should be asking? This is your opportunity to really separate yourself from the competitors and talk about the great work you do in a more natural way, because it's being prompted by a question." As I was saying with the previous tip, I don't necessarily agree with this one. This, I would say, it really depends, because there's an effectiveness threshold. For some people, educating more will comfort them and give them more of the information that they need. For other people, saying too much could persuade them not to buy. So it's a little bit of a balance, finding that happy medium. And this is where, ultimately you need to kind of let the data win to the extent that you can. Most people watching this video, you probably don't have 10,000, 30,000 plus unique visitors coming to your pricing page or wherever you specifically have your FAQs, and a well-defined conversion goal that is linked to your bottom line that would be occurring in such volume that you could do an A/B test and have an answer in a reasonable amount of time. Most don't have that. And thus A/B testing, which is so often and too often hyped, in my opinion, and then you could be waiting for a very, very long time, makes it really not worth it. So the answer is just you have to know your market, talk to your customers, look for those patterns, and then take what is happening in those conversations, in those live chats, in those emails, on those calls, and put that more than anything into the FAQs. And if you notice a pattern where you actually introduced some more information, some new information that you thought would be useful for them to know that they didn't ask about, well, in that case, I would say you want to go with Nicholas's advice here. All right, so that's a wrap. What did you think of this list? Which tip in particular stood out to you and perhaps gave one or two aha moments in terms of what you can change? I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment on the blog article or on YouTube, and I'll definitely respond to it. And in general, if you got value from this video, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and to our email list. Finally, if you want to delegate all of your digital marketing tasks and projects to a white label team of professionals who've worked with thousands of clients, check us out at AutoGrow.co. We have a $7 for 7-day trial included with your AutoGrow team, where you can delegate pretty much anything that you can imagine to in terms of digital marketing. And it's just a fantastic value at an amazing price. You can even sign up and get started today for just $7 for your first 7 days. Check us out at AutoGrow.co if that sounds interesting to you. All right, until next time, and as always, keep auto growing and stay focused.